Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Steven Universe review. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Season 1, Episode 40, On the Run. Do people hate Amethyst?
Armrest is purple. Why is Armrest such a terrible person?
Like, I can't tell at this point. Because from everything I've seen, it seems like a lot of people do. But from my perspective, I could be wrong. I mean, vocal minorities are always a big thing, and plus fandoms go in and they gather around a show they love, but there's always aspects some fans love that others don't, and some they hate that others don't hate. And it honestly just gets chaotic, and then people start sending death threats over art because they're all just horrible people. Damn fans, they ruined fandoms. So, I don't know if people hate Amethyst, but personally, Amethyst is probably my second favorite character in the entire show. I'm just being real. Now, this does take a bunch of future episodes into account, but right here, right now, this is the episode that sent me on that track. This is the episode that made me think, you know, maybe I do love Amethyst. So, let's get into it. It starts off with Steven reading a book, because remember, they grounded him from TV for 1,000 years. I like the fact that they keep that detail. The status quo is not God. They make changes, and he's still reading books, because that's all he can do. And then the gyms show back up with all the orb thingies from the Galaxy Warp, and Pearl gives this lore about Homeworld. Hey, we're actually finding out lore. That's pretty good, especially, like I said, after episode 26, 25 and 26, things start to kick off. And she says that, gyms came to Earth and they did something to damage the Earth. And now we're just trying to make up for that. Or something along those lines. I mean, they say that at some point, right? So, Steven wants to be, he kind of relates everything because they're because they say space rebels that abandoned Homeworld. He relates that all to being a no homeboy, but Pearl squishes his dreams. But Amethyst is like, hey, let's be no homeboys, let's run away. Yeah, no, that's a great setup. And we get a song, On the Run. I think it's called On the Run. It may have a different name. I don't actually care, don't at me. It's a really good song either way, because it starts off, hey, let's just run away, all right, let's have fun. And then they go on, and when it really starts to pick up when we get into Amethyst's bit. Right, where she's actually singing, and you actually hear, like, weight behind it, because it ends with the line, home's a place that I have never known. That line, home's a place that I have never known. Steven says it, right? He's joking. He's having fun. Amethyst, though, says it with sincerity. She's taking it seriously. I like this duality we see here. Because like we saw in the whole lore part, she actually does feel hurt by what Pearl's saying, whether or not Pearl notices. Steven, right, he gets his food stolen and he's done pretending. He's pretending. But for Amethyst, this is real. And that's great duality. It's two great characters to do this with. And so Amethyst takes him to kindergarten. Kindergarten, it's an interesting design. It's very brown and gray. Not colors we normally see in this show. This show is usually very colorful. So by using darker colors, it really does show the seriousness of kindergarten. And we find out that Amethyst was made on Earth, right? Like Steven, she was a gym made on Earth. And we learn where gyms come from. They come out of holes in the wall. And there's a bunch of these holes. Now, someone once told me that these were a reference to some anime or manga or something. I don't really know. It's an interesting design nevertheless, and I've done an entire video about where gyms come from and why this all works way long time ago. But yeah, Amethyst is just right. She's going around her own stomping grounds because this is where she was born. And even though Steven sees the darkness in it, Amethyst is taking it more lighthearted. And then Pearl shows up. And Pearl, so I alluded to this last time, and this is why I'm so scared of Rosa Scabbard. I don't like Pearl. She gets better later on in like 2 seasons, but for the moment, I really don't like Pearl, and I'm dreading the Rosa Scabbard review because I finally have to like make a solid enough argument for that episode. But let's start here. When Pearl confronts them, she tells Steven that I never wanted you to see this place. No. Both this episode and the last episode connect. In the last episode, Garnet told Steven about Future Vision, and then in this episode, Amethyst tells Steven about the kindergarten. Two very big things that Pearl just doesn't want to tell him. Right? Let's protect him, let's shelter him. And I know there is that mentality with some parents that, you have to keep your child protected and sheltered and not expose them to the darkness of the world. Now, I don't have kids, but I disagree. I understand sheltering them for a while, but eventually they'll learn the hard way. And the way Pearl talks here, it sounds as if she never wanted him to know this. And yes, I understand, she's a parent, but the way Amethyst handles this, where she's like, you just didn't want to tell him the truth. I'm going to tell him the truth, the ugly truth, because it's what he needs and it's what I need him to know. Because I've said this before, Amethyst isn't a parent. Garnet, definitely. Garnet plays a perfect mom. Pearl, yeah, more or less, she's protecting, right? Amethyst, though, always comes across as a big sister to me, right? She's more down to earth. She's cooler. She's not trying to be the parent. She's trying to be liked. But you get my point, right? She's not a parent. She's a sister, right? They become more relatable that way. And this is a great example of it. And Amethyst just goes off, right? Going about the kindergarten, about the truth, calls herself a parasite because as we put together with what happens here and what Pearl said earlier about damaging the Earth, when you create a gem, it kills the Earth, which they do confirm later on, but you can basically figure out everything from here. And then Pearl and Amethyst start fighting, and it's not like, I'll kill you fight. It's a sibling fight, more or less. That's what it always reminded me of. Yes, Amethyst is mad, but it's more or less her letting out aggression. Or at least that's the way I always framed it, because it makes the fight better, in my opinion. It's more interesting, but eventually they knock over one of the giant drill injectors, Robinoid things, and it goes and falls off on them. Steven's able to protect himself in a bubble, and Amethyst, they think she's crushed, but she's not, because luckily she didn't go to the Prometheus school of running away from stuff. So she's all good, and she's just, I'm bad for you, you shouldn't be around me. But then Steven, taking on his leadership role, yeah, he can do so much, but he sends Pearl in to deal with it. And Pearl's got a great line about the one good thing to come out of this horrible place. And yeah, it's a good line, I'll admit it, but it doesn't make Pearl stronger, it just makes Amethyst stronger. Because Pearl admits that, she didn't even recognize Amethyst's problems, because, they're always fighting. I get it. I get where they're both coming from, honestly. And yeah, they all leave, but then we see all the holes, how gigantic the kindergarten is. And there's no Starfate. This has probably happened before, and it will happen later, but you can always tell in episodes like Sirius when it doesn't end with a Starfate. It's usually linked to the kindergarten, now that I'm thinking about it. Neat. And yeah, that's the episode. For one of presumably two episodes, the other one being Maximum Capacity, which we'll get to. I just think it's great development for Amethyst. It's great anti-development for Pearl, because it's justifying my hate. Next time, we got an episode I love so much. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.